that, make sure to flag your PI preferences before you get your round started. Without any further ado, we can now go on with the round. Debating on the motion, assuming feasibility, this House supports the adoption of autonomous AI judges in court. We now call on Prime Minister to start your speech here.
Okay, so assuming that I am clearly visible and audible, I will start my speech in 3, 2, and 1. Judge, as proposition side, we believe that we should uphold today's motion on assuming feasibility. This House supports the adoption of autonomy AI judges in court. Today in the status quo, there are no AI judges that are in this world right now. However, feasibility. Now onto my. And we would like to change this. So now onto my definition. Feasibility means that it actually works out and is actually functioning and operated properly, and it's not hard to carry out. Autonomy means that the AI can think for themselves and that they have the capabilities of decision making. So our stance is that we should have AI judges as it gives more accurate and fair results. We acknowledge that AI is not perfect and can make wrong decisions. However, it is much more accurate than the judges today, and it is significantly more fair and has less bias. So in opposition world, there's a lot of bias that goes around. So my two arguments on precision and fairness respectively, and give some preemptive rebuttals in the end. So the first argument is on precision. AI is so much precise when it comes to decision making. AI, due to its nature, does not base any of its decisions on emotions, but on facts, law, and constitutional law too. In most cases where human judges base their verdict on hard stone opinions and emotions, there's a high possibility that the culprit and criminal gets away. If you have AI doing the decision making, facts come in handy, which makes the verdict much more fair and precise. On our side, we stop the criminals from terrorizing the streets again, and as we bring the precise judgment and justice, as the nature of AI stops opinions from getting in the way. We acknowledge that robots are not perfect in making their judgment, but they are much more precise than today in the status quo. Additionally, AI makes cases and trials much quicker due to its generative nature. This makes the judges in the status quo. This is much better than the judges in the status quo, as some trials take months or even years. For example, a rapper named A$AP Rocky's trial took 2 years long. So what is the impact of our argument? So the first impact is that we protect the citizens, and we have a significantly increased chance of putting the criminals away behind bars. The second impact is that we have much quicker verdicts. So in opposition's world, there are culprits that get away more frequently than on our side, and verdicts take forever to complete, giving the criminals a chance to pounce back. So judge, which side gives better justification in verdicts? Our side clearly does this, and we give no delays and more precise verdicts. So now let's compare. We show a world of credible, efficient, accurate, and precise decisions in criminal cases, while opposition's world shows a world of significantly less trial accuracy. Now onto my second argument. AI judges on fair and no bias. So AI judges are prone to less bias. So why is this true? This is true because AIs are incapable of being swayed by factors such as emotions and money. Real life judges are prone to biases and bribery because they're human and can't help but actually have emotions and prefer one over the other. AI is efficient because they do not take into account the emotion that people present and base their verdicts on facts, while judges could be faulty or wrong sometimes, since we cannot expect people to be perfect the whole time. So what does this look like? Our world looks like a world where with fair AIs with no bias and prejudice clouding their decisions, and neither are there bribery because it's impossible to bribe AI judges. So now, what is the impact of this argument? The first impact is that there will be fair decision making. Both parties incapable of blaming the judge or accusing the judge of being biased or bribed by the other party. So the second impact of this argument is that the criminal justice system will be more credible because the society knows and is assured that the criminal justice system is fair and free of bias. So, judge, which side is more fair and free of bias and prejudice? Our side definitely takes the cake here, and their side is a world with sometimes faulty decisions that is full of bias and bribery, and we are able to combat that and negate it, showing that we are better. So on to my preemptive rebuttals. So opposition side might say that AI judges just cost a lot of money and it is just a very bad decision. However, this decision of investing in AI decisions is way better in the long term as it saves more money on salaries. It is also a very good investment as AI brings better results for criminal cases, as we stated in our arguments. However, this topic will be further discussed by my second speaker. So in conclusion, we take this debate home because we have shown you the impact of why AI judges is better in precision and accuracy, and also we showed you why the impact and mechanism and the counterfactual for why AI is fair and has no bias, and this is why I've never been so proud to propose.
We thank the previous speaker for his speech. Now calling on the leader of opposition. Here.
All right, judge ready, opponents ready. My time starts now. Judge, imagine this tragedy. Your family has just been taken by a horrible crime. You plead, you cry, but standing before you is not human, not someone who understands the pain and the gravity of your loss, but a robot with no expression. Now, this sounds like a scientific fiction, but this is the reality in preposition's world. As the leader of opposition, 3 things in today's speech. First, responding to the Prime Minister. Second of all, presenting my main arguments, lack of empathy, lack of transparency, and loss of public trust. And finally, telling you our model and how this is better. Now, responding to the Prime Minister, we're saying that we completely agree that we need transparent, fair decisions, while also maximizing productivity and cost efficiency. We're not saying that these points are not valid, but we're saying that our model better fulfills these points, which I'll talk to you about later. All right, moving on to my main arguments. First of all, AI lacks empathy. Of course, they only work on general observation and pairs these individual cases to the laws and consequences, but they completely fail to consider personal circumstances. No amount of experience and no amount of past cases can help them make better judgments in each specific cases. For example, talking about a famous case, the case about Dudley and Stevens, where individuals in a boat accident had to kill their companion for survival. If you give this case to an AI judge, they will certainly be severely punished, but only human judges will understand how anxious, how desperate, and how depressed they were to make these decisions. And if AI really makes false decisions, this is irreversible, because this not only falsely punishes their so-called criminals, but also hurts their family and friends. Now, moving on to my next point about how AI lacks transparency. Now, our opponents argue how human judges are biased, and we agree that this might be true to some extent. However, because human judges are biased, this also means that they will be biased in the training that data, especially since a lot of AI judges are not open source. Bias comes from real-world experiences, and they come from past cases. So if the training data comes from learning from past cases, then the AI judges will also learn these biases. Well, actually, not only does AI judges not address the issue of biases, but it actually makes this issue even worse. Not only symmetrical, but even worse, because the biases in human judges are only on individual cases. But once this bias gets implanted into the training data of our AI model, this whole discrimination gets amplified, because all the future cases will be perpetrated by discrimination. Now, on to my last point of loss of public interest. Even if policymakers ignore all these cons of AI judges and still decided to start using them, the general public still won't trust those AIs. Well, seriously, if you think that your family has just been taken away in a horrible crime, will you be willing to a robot judge your case? Certainly not. So people might try to solve problems on their own and completely circumvent the justice system, leading to chaos. My deputy speaker will talk to you about this later on too. Moving on to introducing our model, we suggest that we continue old practices, like the existing practice of using a panel of judges and a jury system, as well as an appeal system if you feel like it's unfair, because these measures already eliminate a lot of the bias. Also, to address the point about productivity and cost efficiency, we will use a method where we combine AI with human judges. AI can do simple jobs like recording what everyone says, etc., while the final decision is up to the judges. Because these simple tasks like recording are often wasting most of the time, if we give 80% of these unimportant things to AI and leave the 20% of truly important decisions to human judges, we'll be able to achieve a good balance between fairness and productivity. Our model is strong because it addresses the opponent's worries about biases, and it also maximizes the productivity and efficiency. Therefore, we believe that our role controls bias to a minimum while also fitting the criteria for productivity. Thank you.
Okay, we thank the previous speaker for the speech. Now calling on Deputy Prime Minister. Here.
Okay, so I would like to start my speech in 3, 2, and 1. Honorable Judge, the opposition side fails to prove their argument, and they fail to rebut to our arguments. In the opposition side's world, they advocate for a society in which AI judges, which are crucial for the economy, are not used to benefit the economy. However, we promote a much better society in which these artificial intelligence are used for benefits and the better good of the economy. Now moving on to some clarifications against the opposition side. So what the government side misunderstood in the debate is the fact that is the fact that in this motion, we already have this AI as prepared and as already perfected into the AI that we're going to know in the future. Then moving right on to the rebuttals, they say that AI lacks empathy and human emotion. But honorable judge, the opposition says that AI can't feel emotions like human judges do. But the truth is, in court, emotions are not always helpful, and they can actually cause unfair decisions. Let me explain. Sometimes a judge might feel bad for someone who speaks well or looks nice and gives them a lighter sentence. But if someone is nervous, poor, or doesn't speak well, they might even get a harsher punishment, even for the same crime. That's not empathy, that's bias. AI doesn't get tricked by someone's appearance or emotions, and in this case, this might be the much more better choice. It looks only at the facts and the law that gives the same judgment no matter who you are. And if the AI is wrong, then that's the problem with the law. And yes, humans can feel things, but you also get tired, angry, or emotional. That can lead to unfair rulings. In our world, AI brings consistency and fairness. You don't have to worry about the judge's mood or opinion. You just get justice. So while human empathy sounds nice, it often creates inequality. And AI helps us treat everyone the same, and that's what true fairness means in a courtroom. Next, they say that AI lacks transparency and might use incorrect data. And the opposition says that AI might be trained on bad data, and that it's hard to understand how it makes decisions. But let's be honest, do we really think human judges are even more transparent? When a human judge makes a mistake or shows bias, there's no way to fully track what influenced their decision. They might be tired, emotional, or even biased, and we can't even see inside their minds. With AI, we can. Every step in the decision-making progress can be recorded, reviewed, and tested. If there's a pattern on unfair outcomes, we can fix the system. Moreover, we can retrain the AI using better data and clearer guidelines. That's something we can't do with human judges. Also, not all data is bad. In fact, AI can be trained on thousands of past fair rulings to learn how justice should work. And if a human judge uses their own bias experience, we don't even notice it. In our world, we get a system we can improve, monitor, and correct. In their world, bias stays hidden. So, Judge, if you really care about fairness and transparency, AI is a better choice, not the worst one. Now, moving on to our third argument, which is long-term benefits and smart spending. So, Judge, why this matters? Justice shouldn't be only fair. It should also be smart and sustainable. Right now, governments spend a lot of money keeping the legal system running. Just salaries, pensions, fixing human mistakes and delays. But if we adopt autonomous AI judges, we can reduce many of these costs. So now moving on to the mechanism. AI judges don't need to be paid every month. They don't take vacations or make errors from being tired or emotional. They work faster and more consistently. Once the system is built and running, it saves money after year and year. And with that money saved, governments can invest into other important areas for the justice system, such as police. For example, A, they can improve police training, and B, provide better legal support to people who can't afford lawyers, and 3, funding rehabilitation programs to reduce repeat crime, and finally, create a safer community overall. This isn't just about cutting costs, it's about spending smarter so the whole justice system becomes stronger. Right now, in the status quo, some courts are slow. Some people wait for years for a fair trial, and others never get help because of legal aid is underfunded. That's not fair. In our world, by using AI judges, we fix those issues. We free up money and make justice more accessible and effective for everyone. Therefore, so proud to propose.
Okay, we thank the previous speaker for the speech. Now calling on the yellow. Here.
Judge ready, opponents ready, my time starts now. Judge, people are all afraid of AI taking over the world today in this modern society. Why should AI take over the basic foundation of human justice if people already think that AI is unjust? As the DLO of today's debate, I will provide 3 things: rebuttals, extension, and rebuilding. Moving on to rebuttals. Our opponents have provided 4 main arguments in this debate. First argument, AI leads to no bias. So firstly, we have already proved that training data is not transparent when it comes to AI. Training data leads to AI becoming accepting stereotypes from the real world, and this can make them extremely biased and accept stereotypes from the real world. You may ask, how are human judges better? They are exposed to the real world. However, they go through a lot of college education, law school education to ensure that they are fair to this judgment. Also, they might say that humans are more biased. However, according to our model, it's not just one human judge. It's a panel of judges to make sure that there are no bias. Just like the competition we are now. If there was only one judge, the opinion would be subjective. However, if there was a panel of judges, they could actually discuss and come up with the best agreement ever. And thirdly, they say there are exceptions in laws. Laws have exceptions. I don't understand such exceptions. For example, if a person is crying and pleading their case and the law doesn't cover that portion, then the criminal might just not just get away with it while someone is probably killed or something. In this case, not accepted. Now, argument two, they argue about AI efficiency. However, we do acknowledge that AI takes less time. However, do you want quality or quantity? Our opponents admitted in their first speech that they want quality over the cost that they actually make. Well, AI is biased and human is less biased, as I will talk about later. And secondly, we can also increase efficiency while ensuring quality by using AI to record these court debates and ensuring that these human judges are doing well and not incorporating any bias as our model states. Now, fourth argument, they say that AI will bring long-term benefits, like AI will cost, like they say that AI will cost a lot of money, but it actually increases efficiency. Well, and that human judges also need a lot of money. Well, also they admitted in their first speech that cost doesn't matter, quality matters, and therefore this point doesn't stand. Well, now moving on to POI not accepted. Our point about empathy was rebutted by saying that in court emotions are not helpful. However, Judge, think about this: is our world based on the cold, stable books of laws, or the truly and culture and emotion of humanity? If this is unfair in the court now, we can fix this. Now, moving on to extensions, AI in court will create disapproval by the general public. In the real world now, monopolies like Elon Musk suggest that AIs will bring dangerous for the future. People say how AI will take over their jobs in the future. Schools and even the big competitions that we are in now are not accepting AI and saying that using AI is unjust, unfair, and evil for our humanity. Even if AI is not unjust, unfair, and evil, at least this is the public's opinion. Allowing AI as the main role in court, which is supposed to serve justice, may lead to protests from the general public. This will lead to immediate chaos in the law industry, therefore undermining justice. This is a clear
We thank the previous speaker for the speech. Now calling on GovWeb. You're here.
So, assuming that I am visible and I start my speech in three. I seem to think that AI is going to lead to public backlash, but nowadays people actually trust AI more than ever, and people are not going to have public backlash, in which I'm going to explain later on. Now, the first controversy is which side's criminal justice system is actually more credible. Now, let's stop the our side. Now, before explaining why our side actually takes this clash, I'd like to explain why this clash is important. Credibility is important because the criminal justice system is a key part of society, and making the right fair decision is the top priority. I will prove how our side wins this clash with two factors: the precision and second, fairness. Einstein explains that we have more precise decisions because AI is infinitely smarter than us humans, and they're not biased, nor are they actually bright, because this is impossible. Their side claims that they lack empathy, transparency, and that we lack empathy, transparency, and public trust. Now, I would agree with the statement of lacking empathy, but I would also like to say that AI is not stupid, and they know moral dilemmas. Moral dilemmas are not empathy-based, and the AI knows that. When the lawyer says that this was for necessity, for example, the AI will be able to understand this and give the right verdict. Now, even the human judge may be wrong in necessity for several cases because, for example, in Les Miserables, John only stole a piece of bread, but was sentenced to 2 years in prison. Therefore, they did not explain how humans will actually be better. To the point of transparency, the AI will get trained by accurate cases and the law itself, making it one of the most accurate ones. Now, the other side says that the criminal justice system should not just be about the law, but it is actually about the law. It should be based on the law, and they should not diverge and go into empathy and emotions because that would be bias. Also, we're the ones who actually improve the public trust in AI and actually improve the trust in AI and its innovation and the potential that it shows. Now let's compare roles, but let's be charitable and give them their best. Whether he still wins, their best case is a panel of judges, the status quo, but they have to accept that there are already some biases in the status quo, and they're incapable of fixing it. Now, our worst case is where AI is relatively new and people are kind of nervous about it, but it turns out to actually be good and accurate, more accurate than judges, as we've proved. We are better because we have proven how, even on their grounds, even on their standards, we are actually more accurate and we are more credible. Now let's go on to the second clash, which is long term versus short term. Now this is definitely our side. But if we're proving why we take both the short and long term, I'd like to highlight the significance of this. Winning in the long and short term shows that our side is more prepared and we have a better resolution and policy than their side. Our side explains that we win in the short term, first of all, because the AI is more accurate because they follow the law and know of moral dilemmas. We also win in the long term because we're able to save money and we can allocate the money differently to police forces and working for the
Yo,
rehabilitation centers or improving prisons.
we have already
Yes.
told you how we are also going to integrate AI to do simple repetitive tasks, which it takes up most of the time. How is this economic benefit not symmetrical on our model?
Now, I like to show that this is not economically beneficial on their side because on their side, they have to have the panel of judges and also AI. This is going to take a lot of money on their side and actually more. Even though they might be kind of cost efficient, we're going to be more cost efficient and also, and we are actually going to help rehabilitation too. Their side claims that our side will be bad, but they fail in showing how their side is actually better and claim that the status quo is the best. Well, they're wrong because we show how we're going to be better, being more accurate, and reduce cost in the long term. Allocate money differently. We acknowledge that we have said that quality matters the best, but we are able to prove that both quality and cost is maintained on our side. Now let's compare worlds. Well, let's give them their best. Their best, as I have said, the status quo. Our worst case is when the AI is actually accurate and it does make some minor mistakes, but it's actually still less than how humans are. Now we have shown you how we are actually more credible and how we win in both the long and short term, and therefore our side clearly wins. Thank you very much.
We thank the previous speaker for the speech. Now calling on Opweb. You're here.
Time starts now. Okay, so first of all, as third speaker, I will be analyzing the clash and providing rebuttals and strengthening our team's points. So first of all, the main clash in this debate is pretty general. Which model on each side is overall better? They point out on their model with AI that AI can save money on the long term after setup and can provide straight direct law that is not biased. However, we provide that in our model with a panel of judges and a jury investigating public interest, so no AI bias. Additionally, with AI and human cooperation. With this, we remove bias with a team of judges and juries. We remove this kind of bias possibility. We are efficient and efficiency on useless, wasted tasks are done by AI. For example, recording, summarizing. Money is actually used to spend to solve problems that need a human, and everything is transparent. You can see the histories of the judges and whether they have a good or bad history of being biased or impartial, which you cannot see with the training with AI. People think AI will take over the world, so people would not accept AI taking over the absolute just and rights of people, and also how the quality of a decision is more important than the quantity of a decision. The quality of a decisions is better than how many decisions you can make. So with this one clash, we believe that we have won this without any doubt. So first of all, first of all, they pointed out that emotion is not important and shouldn't be integrated into law. However, there are many cases, such as the case that our first speaker has pointed out, how a team of two companions had to kill each other to survive on a boat. AI would see this as murder. Only a true human would know how much pressure they were in, how desperate they were to survive. Our very world is built upon humanity, compassion, and understanding, not a hard and cold law book. So moving on with more other rebuttals, They say that AI can rarely makes mistakes. However, we completely don't know how AI models are trained. Only that they're trained by people, and this kind of people could or could not be biased. But based on the current society, it's very likely that they are. AI models considered a revolution. Let's say ChatGPT have already said many things that are discriminated and racist to different people. They also said that how AI would be more accurate than judges, but to decide how do you define accuracy, we believe that accuracy is making the right decision for the right um situation, which is where our model of integration of humans and AI, emotion and law does the best. On efficiency, our model does it also. It's the same thing. We're efficient on useless and wasted tasks that these things are done on AI. They also said how emotion leads to bias. So first of all, we're saying that emotion will be integrated into our model and not a 50-50 part. It's not either that judge goes, I want to use my opinion on this, and it's like that. Our what we're suggesting is integration, a perfect integration to decide on a specific situation. So our model will integrate this better and provide a overall better solution for the victims. We summarize how AI has no empathy, how AI sources are not transparent, and the general public will fight and go against this method of using AI because they don't even trust AI at all. Our model of panel of judges and a jury and integrating this with AI will overall be more beneficial than our opposing side's model, which is why we think we have won this debate. Thank you.
Thank you for the speaker for that speech. Now calling on the opposition reply.
Judge ready? Opponents ready? My time starts now. Judges, is our world defined by the cold, emotionless law books or the bright, colorful empathy and compassion people actually believe in? This was dropped by our opponents. The former American judge used empathy based on law. This immediately disproves all their responses to our argument of that. Our opponents completely dropped two parts of our case, our model and the public agreement argument. What is the point of having a justice system if the justice system is unjust according to a nation's citizens? Now, moving on to a model comparison. The two main arguments our opponent proposed are human biases and low productivity. However, they completely dropped our model and ignored the steps we are taking. We have already taken steps such as appeal systems and panel of judges and jury to eliminate random biases. And we also agreed to integrate AI to do the work that take up 80% of the time, which already cuts a lot of cost in the long run. The benefits of AI, such as productivity, are symmetrical to our side, but the lack of empathy and transparency is definitely not transparent to their side. Well, now moving on to world comparison. In their world, the seamless, never tired, never biased AI judges are working on biased data, and no one goes further to investigate AI decisions. The general public avoid the justice system as much as possible, and the society falls into chaos where people take justice into their own hands. In our world, we use AI smartly by letting it do most of the repetitive tasks while leaving the true important decisions to the humans. Humans, the only ones that can understand human emotions and human intentions. For addressing the long-term argument by our opponents, firstly, they still need people, so they are not saving enough money. And secondly, they are contradicting themselves because they are saying that the final decision is up to the humans themselves. Therefore, this is the clearest opposition ballot ever. Thank you.
Now calling on the God reply. Here.
Okay, so assuming that I am clearly visible and audible, I will begin my speech in 3, 2, and 1. Judge, as government reply, I'll be bringing you two issues and a reason why we win this debate. The ultimate goal of today's debate is to protect the people of our society. So at the end of the day, opposition loses this debate because they fail to provide the autonomous and feasible AI is incapable of making the right decision. They talk about mistaken empathy to bias, and as my second speaker stated in his rebuttal. Secondly, they do not adequately respond to our point on how AI is more effective and efficient than human judges. They just talk about how the quality of the verdict is not the best. However, generative technology is extremely quick and has great all the laws, and AI is 1,000 times smarter than us. So we win this debate because we, on the other hand, have shown you that even if we bite the bullet and accept the benefit that they state in their first argument, which is empathy, we can cope this benefit because AI is common sense and can determine what is right and wrong in certain situations. So the first issue is which side criminal justice system is more credible. So opposition told us that AI lacks empathy. However, we told you that AI verdicts are quicker, more detailed, and more precise. This is like my web speaker stated, AI is infinitely smarter and quicker than us. AI, like I stated, has common sense and can prove who should win in a trial based on the scenario. So even if everything they say is true, AI can quickly develop using government money as it is desperate, and we have proven how AI understands cases of absolute necessity. This is why we take the first pack. The second issue is which side benefits the society better. Opposition keeps telling us that their side is better solve the bias problem had helped the trial, ultimately helping the society as a whole. However, we told you that AI cannot take money bribes and human judges can. This is just one way of the bias that AI cannot take. It cannot take, but a bias that human judges are prone to, therefore their side cannot have a better public trust either. We have also shown you how their model on their side does not stand, as it makes more money on their side because they need more judges, juries, and more. That's why we take the second class. So in conclusion, government clearly takes this debate home because we proved how AI has improved and is better to replicate a human, but smarter and better, more accurate, increasing the credibility and public trust. We protect the stakeholders, which are the people of the society, and we are more accurate when it comes to catching the culprit and criminals behind bars. We solve the structural problem of this bias better as we remove the possibility of money bribes, cultural bias, and emotional bias. This is because we take the human judges who take bribes away. We finally protect the interests of the people better as we put dangerous criminals behind bars, not letting anyone else get hurt. So opposition, on the other hand, loses this debate because they fail to prove why they will be more efficient, even symmetric on our side in terms of credibility and how they win the long term and short term, and when we show our economic benefits and rehabilitation. They also do not protect the society and the people of the world, and because they do not mechanize the impact of AI judgments on society. Finally, they lose in terms of saving money for rehabilitation, showing that their side failed in protecting the criminal justice system, which is why I've never been so proud of the folks.
Okay, we thank the previous speaker for the speech and thank all the debaters for the round. We now virtually cross the house.